All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a tour of a country that's just full of surprises. Think about it. A place with these massive, wide-open spaces, but almost everyone lives in cities? It's this global economic giant, but some of the facts about everyday life there, well, they're pretty mind-blowing. So let's get started on our tour of the United States.
You know, this quote really nails it, doesn't it? The world's superpower, where everyone wishes to go. It just captures that sense of adventure and, that big dream so many people associate with the U.S. So to really get a handle on this place, let's start with the basics. Let's look at the numbers.
Okay, first things first. To really wrap your head around the United States, you have to appreciate just how big it is. I'm talking about its scale. And believe me, the numbers behind this superpower, they tell a really interesting story.
So where do we start? People, of course. We're talking about almost 342 million people. That makes the U.S. the third most populous country on the entire planet. Just imagine that, all those people spread across this enormous continent.
And then there's the money. When you talk about economic power, the U.S. is, well, it's in a league of its own. Its GDP, that's the gross domestic product, is a mind-boggling $25 trillion. That makes it, by far, the largest economy in the world.
Okay, so you've got all these people, all this land, but where do they actually live? It's funny, we all have that image of America's wide open spaces, right? But the reality? It's a surprisingly urban country. A whopping 82% of the population lives in cities and suburbs. Only about 18% are out in those rural areas.
All right, so we've got a sense of the scale now, but what's daily life really like for those nearly 342 million people? This is where it gets interesting. Let's dive into some of the, well, let's just say surprising parts of the American lifestyle.
Okay, before we get any deeper, I've got a quick pop quiz for you. Ready? Think fast. What is the capital of the United States? So, did you say New York City? Hey, if you did, you're in good company. It's the biggest, most famous city, and it actually was the capital for a little while. But nope, the real capital has been Washington, D.C. all the way since 1790. That's where you'll find the White House, where the president lives. Okay, get ready for this next one. This is a statistic that, wow, it really made me do a double take. On average, Americans save only 1% of their income. 1%. It really points to this kind of earn today, spend today culture.
And if you want a perfect example of that spend today mindset in action, let's talk about pizza. Seriously, check this out. Americans eat the equivalent of 18 acres of pizza every single day. Just try to picture that. That is an unbelievable amount of pizza.
But, not all the numbers are as fun as pizza. This next one is, well, it's pretty sobering. It shows a really stark contrast. So the U.S. has about 4% of the world's population, but it holds an astounding 22% of the world's prisoners. That's a huge imbalance, and it really points to some much deeper, more complex issues in the country's social and legal systems.
So when you put all these numbers together, you start to see this picture of a huge, really complex nation. It makes you wonder, right? What's the engine that powers this whole thing? Well, let's pop the hood and take a look at what's really driving its economy and its influence around the world. The American economy is this just diverse powerhouse, really. It's built on a few really key pillars. You've got technology, which is huge. Then there's the auto industry, the food industry, pharmaceuticals, and of course, a massive tourism sector. They all play a huge part in its economic strength. But let's focus on tech for a second, because it is dominant. It's wild. Nearly half the population, 47% of Americans, have a job that's somehow connected to the technology sector. And think about this. Concepts like work from home, which feels so normal to us now, that whole idea really got its start in the U.S. way before the pandemic made it a global thing. And of course, that economic power doesn't just stay within its borders. It's exported everywhere. The U.S. is the headquarters for some of the most famous brands on the planet. I mean, from tech giants like Apple and Google out in Silicon Valley to fast food empires like McDonald's, Pizza Hut, and KFC. You can feel their influence in pretty much every corner of the globe.
But the story of America isn't just about big companies and big numbers. At its heart, it's a story about people. And more specifically, it's about people who have come from all over the world. That history of immigration is it's woven into the very fabric of the country. So let's take a quick look at a few key moments that really defined how the country grew. It all kicks off in 1492 with Christopher Columbus's arrival, which started that wave of European migration. Fast forward to 1777, and you have the first official U.S. flag, a symbol for this brand new nation. And then in 1867, there was the purchase of Alaska from Russia, a huge expansion of territory.
every one of these moments played a part in shaping the country as we know it.
And that flag, it actually tells that story perfectly. You've got 50 stars, one for each of the 50 states, and then there are 13 stripes. Those represent the original 13 colonies that broke away from Britain to start the United States. It's all right there in the design.
And that story of people coming to the US, it's still happening today, of course. To do that, you need a visa, and there are tons of different types. Here are just a few examples to give you an idea. There's the A1, that's for diplomats and politicians. You've got the B1, which is for tourism and travel. And then there are really specific ones, like the O1 visa, which is for people with, and this is the official term, extraordinary ability. Think like brilliant scientists with PhDs.
Okay, to wrap up our tour, let's talk about why so many of those people want to visit in the first place. What's the big draw? It's time for a little highlight reel, a few postcards from some of America's most famous spots.
And, I mean, a lot of people visit. We're talking 68 million international tourists every single year. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire population of countries like France or the UK. It's just massive.
So what's on everyone's must-see list? Well, they're flocking to that crazy electric energy of Times Square in New York. They're going to see the iconic Statue of Liberty, which, fun fact, was a gift from France. They're heading to Florida for the magic of Disney World, or to see the dazzling lights of the Las Vegas Strip. And of course, you can't forget Hollywood, the city of entertainment itself.
And speaking of energy, there's really no place like New York City. You know that famous saying, the city that never sleeps? It is absolutely true. There is just this constant buzz 24/7.
So there you have it. From its enormous economy and city-dwelling population, to those really surprising details about daily life and all those world-famous landmarks, it's clear the United States is a country of contrasts. It's a place of just immense scale and incredible complexity, and that really just leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? In a country this vast, what part of it should we explore next?